Almost alive. Hello, everyone. Gamers, nerds, friends, country folk, and city folk. We are here at the 26th, not annual, just 26th total. Playtest This. We have got Kevin Levy and his Red Rain Fall. And with us tonight, helping us play, is Sasha Jelton. Sasha, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, my name is Sasha Jelton. I am a board game designer and board game design educator, which is something that is a little bit more new to me. I started getting into board game design like 5-ish years ago and got really into sort of the nitty gritty, um, sort of nuts and bolts of how game design works, and that I sort of turned that into now teaching board game design to middle schoolers, and I also do my own designs, but that's sort of been a project that I've been developing more this last year or so. But yeah, that's me.
Cool. Well, thanks for coming back. It's good to see you. Happy New Year.
Good to see you.
I am Evan Halbert. The game that you can find right now is After the Empire. Um, there's a fancy solo mode. We were just talking about solo modes. There's a fancy solo mode that just came out for that. If you're a solo player, so go buy my stuff. And then what else? That's it. I don't know. More stuff to come this year, hopefully. And then our special guest is Kevin Levy with Red Rainfall. Give us a brief intro about you.
Hi, I'm Kevin, and about 2 years ago, I just dropped one of my many other hobbies and picked up this one.
That's fair.
Started designing board games. I'm an engineer by day and fire protection engineer, and after 5 years of organizing the Knoxville board game group, I thought, well, I know what games I like. Maybe I could do something. And I had this story working around in my head, and I didn't. It's too short to be worth a book, so why not put it into something I love?
Cool.
Red Rainfall, the story of the last days of Mars, was born.
Cool. Like it. Okay. Well, welcome. Thanks for coming on the show.
I'm glad to be here.
Yeah.
I'm
Sorry,
looking forward to
it's
learning
a
from you.
touch light. What's that?
I'm looking forward to learning from you guys.
Oh, it's a touch light. It's just Sasha and I tonight, but hopefully that's enough to give you some good feedback.
Always.
And
This
where are you at with this? How long have you been working on it?
this will be playtest 133.
Okay. Yeah.
uh, I've been working on it since February, 2 years ago, so 2021,
Yeah.
and yeah, 2 years passes by quicker than you think.
It does.
Right? The
Playtest one.
pandemic hit. This was like the perfect activity to do, is to stay indoors. And I couldn't meet with my board game group, so picked up Tabletop Simulator and
Yeah.
met a great group of people in Board Game Design Lab, and we play test all the time. And
Yeah.
I see a lot of their games, their ideas inspire mine, and back
Mm,
and forth. Um, so really
nice.
appreciate those guys.
Nice. Well, I'm excited to check it out. Playtest 133 is always fun because, like, and this is your first big design, right?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
first game.
Yeah. Playtest 133 is like, it sounds to somebody who doesn't design board games or has just started, you're like, oh, it's got to be done, right? Done? Done, isn't it? Done, right? By
Jeez,
133? It's done?
how many times have I been asked that?
Yeah.
It's like playtest 33 is done, right? No,
Yeah, exactly.
no,
And then you,
100.
yeah. And then, playtest 60, you're like, oh, I have to scrap everything. I have to go back and this whole system has to go. I've got to.
Earlier this week, I thought of some new mechanic. I was like, oh, that'd be super cool. Wait, no, I can't add more. I'll, the mythical expansion I'll someday
Yeah,
make.
exactly. Exactly. Cool. Okay. Well, let's check it out. Give us a teach.
All right. So I'm going to drop you guys over on my second monitor
Sweet. Sounds
and
fancy.
bring
Be
you guys into
gentle.
the
Right?
story just a little bit here. So you're all it's 4 billion years ago. There's still water and atmosphere on Mars, but a massive civil war has ravaged this planet, and the space armadas are completely destroyed and accidentally shattered the moon, Hellas, which has now sent a couple big fragments down and triggered boiling tsunamis that have virtually wiped away all civilization on the land. And all that's left is the airborne capital cities. And the third, much larger fragment of Hellas still is yet to fall and is hanging over your heads. And your job is to try and collect the very last water in the now dry and scorched ocean beds to try and use as reaction mass to escape to the sister ocean-covered sister planet of Earth. So your objective is to gather the most water before time or water on the planet run out. And let me cycle through here.
Is this the origin story of humanity?
Of what?
Of humans?
We'll get to that in one of the three endings.
Okay, okay.
There's three different endings depending on which of the three end conditions we trigger, and
Cool.
one of them, I'll give it to you. That does hint at that.
Nice. Nice.
Very much like the Prometheus, the beginning of Prometheus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can understand that movie, which apparently better than me.
What
I
inspired
have
this?
no idea what's going on.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. What
No, it's
inspired
good.
the story was just like noticing a couple of interesting historical facts geologically.
Yeah.
We know that about 3.5 billion years ago, the atmosphere and water on Mars disappeared. We also know that a 50-meter high and 100-meter high tsunami occurred from the erosion patterns that are still left over, and the crater, the Hellas Basin, which is exactly polar opposite the largest mountain on Mars, was formed right around that same period of time. I was like, that's a heck of a coincidence.
Awesome. I like
And I
it.
just put the story together to kind of tie those all together.
I like it.
You guys are going to draw your airborne cities first to give us some context here. Right up in this bag. Pull one out. What color you get is the color you're going to reassign yourself to.
Oh.
I'm going to join you here. I'll be blue.
I'm gray.
Start up again.
Change color.
Right.
Gray's right in the middle. Gray's a spectator. That would be.
Maybe I'll be
this.
up. We're all on the extremities of the board.
I think you choose white.
I'll be white. Okay, white.
Oh yeah, sorry. White is the appropriate color in tabletop.
Okay.
You each are one of the 6 unique factions, and you're going to have 1 or 2 special abilities that at the end of the teach you're going to choose. So we're going to work through the teach, and then the abilities will make a lot more sense. Let me hit the set up cards button.
Yeah.
If you will mimic what I'm doing, just drop the cards in any order you want on these used slots, so the word used is covered. These are the tech cards that are going to allow you to do different things during the game. And you'll notice that the snap points are going to let you move the cards upward so that the word used is exposed. So when we use a card, that's how we're going to indicate that. Tabletop Simulator, unlike real life, doesn't give me a lot of great options for choosing first player. So we're just going to roll this dice. And that looks like a strong roll for me as an 8.
That's the farthest from number 1, however.
Golf roll, yeah.
You play by Munchkin rules, don't you?
No.
Roll a dice and then argue about the result.
Exactly.
I love that rule. So I'll be first player here. I award myself the first player token.
Very nice. First player token.
Yeah, the anti-gravity stars will actually be produced in the final game.
Yep.
Magnets.
I went all out on that token.
Magnets, baby.
All right, so on any one of our turns, we're going to get 3 actions to do one of 3 things. You can either use a tech card, as I mentioned, you slide the card up to indicate that it's used, and you take the actions on the card. You may freeze or unfreeze one of your water, which are going to sit in these slots on your tableau. frozen water is protected. It cannot be stolen or destroyed, but it also cannot be spent. And water is your currency, as well as your fuel, as well as your victory condition. It's everything to you. So you'll notice that your hydro thruster, listed right here, says that you can move one space. That doesn't list a cost. Or you can discard one water to move 2 spaces. So all your thrusters operate using water. Your drill rig here says you can collect 1 water at a range of 1 space away if you use it. And your broadside cannon allows you to destroy 1 water or 1 tech card on your opponents, on an opponent that's 1 to 2 spaces away. And that's generally how all of your cards are going to work. And there are better versions of these cards that you'll acquire from the market down here during the game. And this market is going to continuously cycle. You'll notice that all your thrusters have a green outline just for easy identification. Your drill rigs are all going to have blue outlines so you can find them easy, and weapons have red outlines. There are also special cards that are yellow outlined, like this force field and cryostasis here. So the objective of the game is to have the most water. When time runs out, that would be if this tech card pile here runs out, or if water on the board runs out, if we collect all of it, or lastly, if someone gets enough water to launch. You'll notice on your player board, in the water slots, there's a 3p slot. If you can get 13 water, fill up all those slots, then you'll effectively launch. When one of these end conditions occur, we finish out the current round. And if we get enough water to launch or we run out of time, we take 1 additional round. If water on the board runs out, we're going to end just immediately at the end of the round. Everyone gets an equal number of turns, is the idea. I'll go to my quick summary. All right, so you're going to use your tech cards for 3 actions. The third possible action you can take, you can use a tech card, you can freeze water, or you can buy a tech card from the market. The cost of the water is listed above each card here. And at the end of your turn, once you've taken 3 actions, anything still left on this free slot is going to discard, and then the rest are going to slide down, and we're going to refill from the draw pile. This little handy button here in Tabletop Simulator is going to let us do that just by clicking that. At the end of your turn, you'll hit that, and it'll all refill itself.
Fancy.
And okay, let's see.
I was just curious, does this mean free or does this mean something else?
That means free, sorry.
Got it.
Free, 1 water, 1 water, 2 water, and 3 water.
Okay.
And let's see, you are the Mercenaries Guild, so you have one of your special abilities will give you the ability to alter that. We'll go over that specifically towards the end of this teach. We have all the basic rules. So some of the finer details are you can only have a maximum of 6 tech cards, indicated by the 6 slots on your player board. You can freely rearrange those cards at any time. A city cannot move onto any hex that is occupied by water or another player, but you may move over them if your thruster gives you enough movement to do that. A tech card can be used on the turn that it is bought from the market, but a tech card cannot be used on the turn that it is stolen from another player. While the broadside cannon destroys cards, some of these other ones, such as Drone Swarm Raid right here, allow you to steal them instead. So if this says steal a water or a tech card, 2 to 3 spaces away, but not adjacent. Water that's stolen can be used immediately. Ice cannot typically be destroyed, stolen, or discarded. And it also can't be spent, as we mentioned before, but it does count towards your winning and end conditions. And the exception to that, since no one is the Queen's heir, is the nuke. The nuke is the only weapon that can destroy ice. That's all you needed to know there. And then the last thing is these handy little links. Let's see if anyone has...
I've got one here, I think.
A completed link. Perfect. You caught on already. If those 2 links line up just like you've done, and you can freely rearrange the cards at any time, you may use those 2 cards together as a single action instead of 2 separate actions. So you'd slide both of them up and flip them over to break the link, and it is no longer able to be linked for the rest of the game. So one time, you may use them both as a single action. It's your choice. You can continue to use them individually after that, and you can always use them individually before that. You don't have to use the link. Mention the cycling. There is a rare occurrence. It usually happens in much higher player count games, but the rule does exist. There is a reset rule. If everything feels hopeless, utterly hopeless, and someone has just beaten the crud out of you and is not relenting, you may reset to this original configuration on any one of our 3 starting opening positions at any time at the beginning of your turn before you take any actions. It doesn't cost you anything. It just works that way. It's not a good way to win.
Reset. You're talking about this guy? Talking about my space station thing?
You'll reset your player card. So you'll end up with these 3 starting tech cards.
Got it.
Any tech card awarded to you by your player ability, and the 3 starting water.
Got it.
And that's it. So let's go over your special abilities as pretty much the end of the teach. I've got the Union of Laborers. I can begin the game with a rocket thruster or get an additional range with my Hydro thrusters. I always like that one. So I'm going to hit the lock key. I'm going to promote you guys and the system so that you may also lock, delete, and do everything you need. There you go. Mercenaries Guild. You have cards in the tech card market that cost no more than 1 water.
Whoa. Buying up all these goodies.
4 spies in the market are free and have no cost for you. It still costs you an action, just not any water.
Got it. And spies are...
Oh, it would help you to know what the spies are. You have this handy little glossary card down here, and I'm going to go through it. Spies are a one-time use only card. They allow you to steal 2 water or 1 tech card from an opponent anywhere on the board. It has infinite range. Anything on this list below the spy is a one-time use only card. They're going to have a little symbol on them like this force field here. Missed my tab key. That indicates that the symbol of the card is discarded. So that just means that the card is discarded when it's used. These special cards are all going to be more powerful than the rest, and they're one-time use. Force field is the only card that doesn't activate on your turn. It actually activates on any other player's turn when they attack you. Allows you to deflect any single weapon attack, and it's then discarded instead of the weapon taking effect.
And what if you're not attacked until your next round? Does it go away?
Nope, it sticks with you.
Until you're
They're all persistent.
Okay.
When cards are used, they get reset at the end of your turn and go back to the unused position. So they're fresh for you to use in the next turn. Cryostasis field here, it's pretty self-explanatory. It freezes 4 water.
Basically, water is like the exact same as ice, but ice just can't be destroyed easily.
Ice can't be destroyed easily. The only thing that can destroy it is the nuke.
Got it.
But it also can't be spent either.
Steal my eye.
Oh, can't be spent. Okay. But it still fills up these slots or no?
Yeah, it still fills up those slots.
Okay.
Can't
So
steal
you just
ice.
flip over your water tokens to change them into ice. Like that. So the reverse side of these water tokens is ice. All right. Yeah, the other special cards that are worth going over. Scrapyard lets you draw 1 card from the discard pile, and Hack lets you move an opponent against their will, using their thruster at their expense. Just once, though. So, there we go. That's all the rules that I remember for the moment. I'd like to point out one thing about the tokens real quick. These are a real model of the physical tokens. If this works for the camera, they actually do float like that.
Floaty, floaty.
Yep. Based on a woodworking design called the tensegrity table. They just sit there and are held up by the tension of the cords.
Cool.
Pretty cool.
Yep. All right. So as good as anything. I could demonstrate by taking my first turn.
Perfect.
Oh, you need to choose your player ability. I'll let you know they're both about equal in either case. You can't make a wrong decision.
Oh, watch me.
Yours is you may choose to steal using the broadside cannon, or you may begin the game with a raiding party. Raiding party allows you to steal 2 water from an opponent 1 to 2 spaces away.
Nice.
The Mercenaries Guild thematically is all about money.
What was the raiding party tech card?
Allows you to steal a tech card or 2 water 1 to 2 spaces away. So you can steal from your opponents.
And it makes my broadside cannon, or the other side makes my broadside cannon.
Basically, like upgrades it to like a level 2 thing, sort of.
I don't know which way is better. I will take a raiding tech card, please.
All right. I'll draw out of the deck for you. First one I see. Go. Oh. And we will lock your player board. And you've chosen the Mercenaries Guild. Cards in the tech card market cost no more than 1 water.
Yeah.
I like that one too. All right. So first things first, and probably what everyone does in the first round is drill 1 water. It's kind of the obvious move. Oh, first drop all your water, the 3 waters that are beside your board.
So we just store them on our board. It's not like takes anything to take them on or off of here.
And this helps players, all the other players, know who's ahead of everyone else.
So then we just go clockwise.
Yeah. So this was my first action. I need 2 more actions.
Oh, got it.
Buy from the tech card market. Drill rig drone is good, but I'm going to take the cryostasis field for free. And it's a discard. And then I'm going to immediately use it to discard it and freeze for my water.
Protect it.
Oh.
And now I'll hit the button, cycling the market. And the code didn't break. Yay.
Nice.
And it's your turn.
So one action was use draw rig. Another action was get that card. Your third action was use that card.
That's right.
Got it.
And now my drill rig resets to the unused position as I wait for my next turn.
Okay.
Who goes?
I guess clockwise, right?
Okay.
Yep, clockwise turns.
And then this raiding party is not available right now, or what's it doing down here?
Okay. It's one of your 6 tech cards. It is available for use, but no one is currently within range. It has a range of 1 to 2 at the bottom. So if you move close to me, you could use the raiding party on me.
So it doesn't really matter what's sitting up here or down here?
Nope, doesn't matter.
You can rearrange them too if you want, I think.
Okay.
You can freely rearrange them and use them. It doesn't matter where they
Well,
are.
I've got 6 slots, just generally, not top versus bottom.
Yeah.
So I was actually sort of curious. We were talking about the like color coding things. You can have multiple of the same color, so I can have several different weapons at one time, right? Or
Yep, you could have all weapons if you wanted.
Okay.
You could drop your hydra. If you get more than 6 cards, you immediately discard down so that you have only 6 cards.
Okay, got it. So you can get rid of cards by getting more than 6 cards.
If you don't have a Hydra Thruster, you can't move though. Just
Yeah.
So I'm taking a drill
Who needs to
rig.
move?
Drill rig. And I'm
but
gonna
you can definitely go all weapons if you want to.
collect this water here. And use that water. Move. All right.
A movement of a space costs you nothing. Only movement of 2 spaces costs you anything.
Yeah.
So you can keep that water on your board.
Oh, fancy.
There you go. All right, Sasha.
Okay. Let's go.
I lied. I'm just gonna take a second water instead.
What's the significance of the dots at the top?
The dots are for single player mode. They're a prioritization.
Got it.
So the AI will use those and only that in a specific order. Sorry, that's distracting right now.
I think so. When I buy a card, do things move over immediately, or it moves over at the end of my turn?
End of
Your turn. Got it.
Yep. You asked the significance of the dots. Just in general, the more dots, the better that card is.
Strong.
Yep. And there are no dots on the yellow cards because I didn't rank them. Because the AI use yellow cards.
I guess I will get this. I will spend a water to get this.
Lucky.
And then I will also collect the water with my drill rig, and then that's my turn.
I should note on your card glossary, there's a little parentheses by each item name, and that's how many cards there are in the deck. In case
the rarity.
Yep. In case you wanted to know without revealing to me what you were doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. If you're ready, at the end of your turn.
Oh yeah.
There you go. All right. I like my water. I take my 3 turbo thruster. I'm gonna go a little. I can't buy it. I don't have any water yet. Okay, I take water and I move. So that's drill rig and a hydro, and I bought one. So that's my turn.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm gonna drill rig for a water. Then throw thrusters. And then
Is that the native accent of the corporate cartel?
I think it is. I throw thrusters. And then I will collect your water. All right. 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
And don't forget to hit the button.
Yep.
There you go.
I think I'll move here by spinning a water.
I don't think you can move on to water.
Oh, can I not?
You cannot move on to water opponents, but you may move over them as
Got it.
an open space.
Well, I guess I'll move here then. Using my hydro thruster, and then I will use the drone swarm raid to steal. So I can steal a card from you or a water.
That's right.
Wow.
I'll steal your turbo thruster.
We just got that.
Yeah, we're good. And
a free one for me next turn.
then so that was move that, and then third action will be I'll collect a water. That's my turn.
I'm not sure how I feel about you sitting here picking off my waters.
Better run.
Yep, I'm going to take the other free turbo thruster. You left me with a water, so I'm going to discard that to take a raiding party.
Yeah.
You're fairly well armed. So I'm just going to make friends over here. Oh, I can't. Dang it. I don't have the water to move.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And the nuke is
You
up
can always
there.
reset if you want.
I could always reset. It's not that dire.
You're
I
love it.
bought that. I'm moving. Yeah, I bought 2 things and I moved.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, all my stuff's back online. So egg. Um and more water. And mm, take a drill rig. Yep. Okay. So
How much water does Evan have?
A few.
I need 4 more. But he's gonna come steal some from me next. It'll be
Oh,
fine.
there's no need for that.
There's no need for that.
Let's see.
We can share his water.
Let's see. Hmm. All this water's in my way.
You're
Uh,
gonna have to spend some water jumping over and stuff.
yeah, I mean, I can't get over to you even if I'm spending water.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah. Hmm.
Hit your drone swarm raid in range.
How?
You would use your turbo thruster and your hydro thruster
I still am not in range.
next to me first with the turbo thruster.
Yeah.
And then across here.
Oh, double thruster.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd be spending 2 water to get.
Likewise, you could get to here with 2 thrusters. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Why
spend
is
2
everybody
water
coming
to
after
steal
me?
1 water. That is.
Yeah, you did the right math there, I think.
Um. Let's see. You have 2 drill rigs or 3 drill rigs. Oh
Yeah.
man.
Yes, I do.
The raiding party is also scary because if I get close, then that just gives him more ways to get water.
You can steal my rating. Or he can steal. Right? Everybody's got a rating.
Everybody got it.
I'm not going to start my next turn with a rating party. I know that.
This is
Okay.
the Mexican standoff with the raiding parties.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna go. Yeah.
And then I'll just have to broadside ya.
I can't get over there and very effectively without crippling myself. So I think I am just going to see what happens. I'm gonna use. 1, 2, 3. I guess I'll use this turbo thruster, and I will use a water to get to here. And then I will use a drill rig, collect this water. And I guess I will just take this free drill rig and replace one of the cards that I have. So I can replace any of my cards if they're used or unused, right?
That's right.
I will replace.
It might give you a better link,
Mhm.
or you could alternatively, as this action, freeze a water.
Mhm. Oh wait, as what action?
As an
Instead of
action, you can
buying
freeze
the-
a water.
As one of my actions, I can freeze the water. Yeah, I'm gonna get rid of a hydro thruster.
Okay.
And this just goes in the discard, right? And then that's my turn, I think.
I assume freezing a water starts left to right.
Does it
It
matter?
doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because if anybody's taking water, they just take unfrozen water. It doesn't
Yeah.
start anywhere.
But just so it won't bother our organizational skills, yes, left to
You
right.
got it. Okay. Got
So
it.
you conveniently left this free nuke here.
Yep, it's free.
I just
Nuke 'em.
Nuke 'em.
Yeah, it's going to be better than that. All right, so I bought.
Raid and nuke.
Oh, dang it! I don't have water.
I know.
Drill rigging. I have to pull some water first. Yep. So it's just going to have to be this for this round. As I. Oh, that still doesn't put me in range.
Mhm.
Enough water to move, but not enough water to do anything. I don't want anyone else having that nuke anyway, so that decision's made. Well, the nuke would discard. Okay, so I'm leaving the nuke there, and I'm taking the spy instead.
That'll cost the water.
Yep. And I'm using the spy.
You had to grab a water? Yeah.
Yep. I'm using the spy, and I'll take 2 water.
Oh. Inappropriate. Or malappropriate.
And that's my turn.
How's it?
Enough water to power my next move.
So, if I take yes. Mm-hmm. 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 I see. So
Because it didn't have much bearing on the teach while we have a moment. Any of these weapons that destroy water have a little asterisk by their name, and that's just indicating there's a little more text in the card glossary that says they can destroy water on an opponent or the board.
that is good to know.
So if you wanted to clear a path with the
Yeah.
cannons, you can.
Just shoot at the water.
And that's just a little reminder that they could do a little more.
Mm-hmm.
It actually comes up a lot more when you're trying to deny someone water that's right next to them.
Okay, so I'm gonna hydro thruster my drill rig.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna collect this water and then spend that water. Ooh,
Oh, hello, new friend.
hello. And then I'm gonna reading party. Now first I'm gonna broadside cannon.
I'm a ding dong, by the way, guys. I forgot about my special ability. I have
Oh yeah,
extra
don't do that.
range with my hydro thruster.
Oh,
Oh yeah, that would have done it.
That would have done it. Yep.
Yeah. I'm gonna broadside your broadside.
All right. Yep.
ooh, left.
A discard pile or where? Yeah, here.
That discard pile. Yep.
And then I'm gonna raid your raid.
Yeah, I didn't think you were just gonna let that one stand.
And I will get rid of. Because I have to get rid of something, right?
Yep.
I will get rid of my extra drill rig.
Oh man, I became pretty toothless in only a turn. The snap point will flip it around for you, actually.
Oh, okay, cool.
I forget. Did you hit this?
I did not.
Okay.
I wish that button existed in real life. The real
Right.
life prototype.
Right?
Okay. I'll start by double drill rigging.
Nice.
Double drill rig.
Then I'll take the drill rig drone for free. Replace one of these. And then I'll spend one water to get the deep drill.
Dang it.
And
Oh.
I guess I'll get rid of the broadside cannon, I think.
You're not gonna need.
It's your turn.
I don't need another hydro thruster. Mm-hmm. Oh, and there's the nuke just out of reach on the market.
You want to do the nuke because you can blow 5 water off of somebody?
Yeah.
Yeah. Got it.
Or
Got
clear a hex.
Yeah.
Okay.
In which case, no one gets out of here alive. I take so long.
Can't sit here and trade raiding parties with you all day. Oh, I can, but man, I lost my links too.
Ooh, fancy.
Fancy.
Missile barrage.
Sure. Yeah, I'm not going to take another hit from a raiding party, so I'm going to blow off this one here.
Oh,
And they
that seems
probably should just get out of town.
right.
Yep. I'm going to yeet myself out of here. 1, 2, 3. There we go.
Hmm. I see. Let us. Let's waste all the water. 'Cause I'm gonna chase ya. I got hit by this missile, and now I'm gonna take ya. Let's do a raiding party.
Good combo.
I'm gonna this sweet missile barrage. Now, when I took it, it was used, but I could use it, right?
It should have
It-
been reset.
Oh, okay, okay.
Anything,
Right.
any tech card stolen cannot be used until your next turn.
Oh,
Tech cards bought can be used immediately. Tech cards stolen
yeah,
have to wait.
that makes
And
sense.
that's to prevent the raiding party stealing a raiding party, stealing a raiding party, stealing a raiding party.
Right. And then let's I've got one more. Ah, heck. Ah, heck. I'll let you.
It's all ice.
Ah, heck. I'll go, go, go. All right. And I have to click the button.
Okay, let's hook up my turbo thruster to my drill rig drone.
Mhm.
And we'll do that.
I use
I'll move here and then I'll collect. Wait, what happened to?
I took them.
Got it. I'll take one of those. And then I will do a normal drill rig and wait, let me double check this real quick. Yeah, I'll do a normal drill rig and then a deep drill.
Oh, a lot of
Actually,
shenanigans.
take them from right here.
A lot of shenanigans.
And I believe that's my turn.
Shenaniganic.
I've been planning this for a bit.
Nuke.
So I bought the nuke.
Yep.
I used the drill rig. Wait, no, I'm sorry. I used the drill rig to buy the nuke. There we go.
Yeah.
A little too hasty there.
The turbo thruster. Oh, you're using the turbo thruster now. Got it.
I use the turbo thruster and the nuke together.
Get nuked, Evan.
That'll be 5 water, please.
Oh,
Destroyed.
Somebody's king making over here.
Somebody took the win away from me already.
Exactly. Now we die. Yeah.
I bought, I used, and yeah. That's my turn.
Okay, my turn. So, let's um the missile barrage. I'm going to use a drill rig. Boop.
You're sitting over there with the deep drill, just pulling a ton of water every
Rust.
round. We got to go jump on him.
Whoop. And then let's use a shoot, why make it fancy? Broadside in. No.
Because you could
Right.
raiding party?
Just, well, I could. I should.
I want you to.
I'm going to raiding party your... How many water do you need to win? 5? I don't think you have the connection to get 5 water. So, I'm going to raiding party your raiding party. Boop, boop, and I will replace my... who needs an old drill rig? You know? I mean? Alright.
Okay. Press button.
Yeah. No, I'm not a video game. Push the button.
Well, I will steal a raiding party
With what?
with my drone swarm.
I didn't even notice that card. Oops.
And then I will deep drill and drill drone.
Yeah.
That's my turn.
Oh, that can't stop. I'm going to... No, that won't work. I'm going to take a free scrapyard and immediately use it. Allows me to select any card from this pile. Why can I not?
So immediately use it, or immediately you immediately get it.
I immediately got it, and I got it for free.
It's not like a free action.
Nope.
You don't get to use the card for free. It's you get it, and
So
then you
that's
could
2 actions.
got it. And then your third action could be using this card that you're getting now.
Oh, bother. The third action will be using this card, and I'm going to use the spy to take your deep drill.
All right.
And I can, nope, I can't link it. Dang it. That works for me.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, uh, hold on now. Hold on now.
You're thinking about that scrapyard too, aren't you?
I am.
It's too many actions to use the nuke this turn, though.
I
In case that's what you were thinking. I'd never.
Not again, at least. Second time makes you the fool. First time's a mistake. Okay. Okay. So, don't need any of that stuff. Let's see. I just need 2 water to win, is that?
We get one final round.
Oh, that's true.
Does that like I have to still have full amount after that one final round, or
Whoever has the most water after that final round.
oh, got it. Okay, interesting.
Triggers the end is what that does. So you do have to hold on to your water.
Okay. So let's raid.
Shadow Legends.
Let's raid your this thing.
Hmm.
Raid
You
your
can't
raid.
use
Can't
this turn.
use it.
Yeah.
Oh god. Can't use it. Raid the raid. Let's.
Oh, so stealing does reset cards.
Stealing does reset the link.
Got it.
Let's barrage
Likewise, discarding the card resets the link too.
the raiding party.
In case someone used a scrapyard and pulled something back out of the discard pile, it would come to them with a fresh link.
So what you destroyed this, right?
Yes. And then let's broadside cannon or drill rig drone.
Oh.
You might still be able to win. That's okay. You might still be able to win there.
I will scrapyard and buy 2 water from you.
Oh, because you can use it immediately.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. And that does trigger the end then.
And I have one more action to do.
You bought the scrapyard, you used the scrapyard to get the spy.
So okay, so that was 3 actions. Got it.
Yep.
And then what is the winning condition?
Whoever has the most water at the end of this turn cycle.
I don't think I'm taking out all your water this round. Darn it.
Darn it.
I mean, there's no weapons there. That's not very good. What I can do is I can move, and I will take 3 water using my 2 drills.
Wow.
And Just my last little vain grab for water.
Okay. Whoa.
I thought about doing the hack thrusters just to
Did
mess
anything
with.
show up fancy? What's a hack thruster?
You can make someone move, make someone else move,
Oh, okay.
and you can make them spend a water to do it.
Okay. I am going to raiding party, obvious. A couple of these here waters. Obviously, it's not enough, but it's fine. We're gonna steal the water. And
Destroy water. Collect.
probably just why not? Okay.
Do I have one more turn?
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Once it hits that button.
Oh, yeah. Gotta push the button.
That's not the script. I have to make you push the button.
So I don't have to do it. Like,
You can just sit there.
You have won the game. Congratulations.
okay. Yeah, like I could try. I can get like one, maybe two more waters, but it doesn't mean anything, right? Yeah.
And so that triggers that ending.
Okay.
So, if a city has enough water to make a successful launch, as Hellas burns down through the atmosphere, sealing the fate of those left behind, your city attempts its escape sunward. The exact fate of your city is unknown to history, only that it catastrophically collided with the ocean planet's proto-moon, both driving into the planet's surface and raising the first continent above the shallow sea, blasting enough material out the other side of the world to form a new moon, Luna. Over 2 billion years, the wreck of the reactor core decays until the core forms what some will mistakenly call a natural reactor in Gabon, Africa. And after 4 billion years of silence, a species that walked from those apocalyptically seeded oceans can look back at the dead red Martian world and wonder if it ever could have been a place to live.
Yep, like it.
New Mars. That's what we're gonna call the planet.
So there's
Planet Earth. What's the natural reactor in Gabon? Am I gonna have to look that up?
Oh, that's a real thing. That's geologically 2.5 billion years, 2.5 billion years ago. There was enough highly enriched uranium to form a reactor in the ground, and we know that it was there because of all the decay isotopes. And having that much highly enriched uranium at Earth's particular orbit is really unusual. So it probably came from somewhere else. As Earth is not in the right orbit for that to have played it out in the solar disk as the solar system formed. So we got it from somewhere else, but who knows where.
I like. Cool.
Well, I'd love your thoughts on this and anything you have to say.
Awesome. Sasha.
What's up?
Go ahead, man.
Yeah. So overall, I really liked the I liked how simple it felt once it started. It seemed like pretty strict. Like my decisions seemed essentially I'd sort of be deciding if do I want to attack someone or do I want to get water. And there's a political element whenever there's a game where it's player versus player. There's this sort of do I want to attack this one person? If I attack this one person, then they're going to want to sort of attack me, and sort of figuring out the sort of politics of that. And I like that each sort of I was able to pivot like what I was planning on doing, and it felt pretty easy for me to do that. the basic mechanics of you could have up to 6 different actions that do things, and so those are like your options that you have in a turn. I thought that was definitely interesting. This sort of you're almost building an engine, but it's not really like a traditional engine builder, because it's not like you're doing that much more once you get going. It's just you have more options. Obviously, there's cards that are just like better versions of other cards, but only to a certain point. It's not like by the end of the game I'm doing 2 or 3 times as much as I'm doing on the first or second turn of the game. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. It was compelling. It sort of drew me in. The things that I wrote down. This was like the first thing I wrote down in the beginning of the teach. I was like, moving cards for when they're being used, like moving them up for being used. I thought that was going to feel silly. Like there should be a different way to like mark that it's being used. I mean, I get you can't flip over the cards because you have this sort of lock system that you sort of exhaust. And so, yeah, I was like trying to think of like how that could work, and like you could like invert the cards or something. I was trying to think of different ways to make that work. But honestly, like once we were in the groove of it, it didn't feel that bad to scoot cards up and down. I'm still curious if there is like something that is a little bit easier to do. I'm curious how it feels in person, like sliding a card up and down, and then I don't know, maybe being unclear of what card has been slid up and what card hadn't. But it might be totally fine. That was just something that I wrote like right off the bat when you first started doing the teach. That's something that I would think about.
I've explored a couple different mechanics. I actually have a couple answers to that.
Okay, yeah, I'm curious.
Little worker placement. It adds components to the game. So this removed components. So that's why I ended up going with this. Because everyone loves tokens. Why not have worker placement? And maybe you could sacrifice a worker to create 2 water. It's a little more.
Oh, yeah. I do like the idea of having a little token. Like you have 3 action tokens. That makes it very easy for the players to understand that they have 3 actions that they can do. And then like when you're using 2 cards at the same time, you can like place your worker on the spot where they're connected, and so it's like very visually clear that this worker is activating both these spots or whatever. So I think that's interesting, and I feel like component wise it's not that much, but I do get like if you're performing an action over here, maybe
you stick your worker over there for the turn.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think that that all seems pretty reasonable, and I think early on, like just for ease of learning the game, which it was pretty easy to learn the game, so it's not that big of an issue. But just having 3 things makes it very clear that I can do 3 things on my turn, and it's pretty easy to track when I've done things. Like there's a little confusion if someone wasn't paying attention. I thought that I had only done 2 actions when I got that get a scrap card, then I got the spy card, and then I used it. If I had actually placed out a worker here and then placed out a worker here and then got the card, then I think it would have been harder for me to miss that it was actually 3 actions. So yeah, I think that's another advantage of maybe having a token showing your actions. But I get the component argument, but to me, I think that would be nice.
Simply rotating.
Yeah, the classic Magic kind of.
As the game has gone through its iterations, that used to have hexagonal player boards, and the sliding was necessary so the cards didn't get in the way of each other, and that's
got it. I think it has a little bit of a clever look, like things like loading and unloading. It can sort of be like pistons or something. I think that is sort of interesting visually, but I would just be worried. I mean, there's the classic bumping the table thing. I don't think it'd be that big of an issue with knowing what cards you use in a turn because you're only doing 3 actions. It's pretty easy to track. That was just one of the first things I wrote down. Moving along, we don't need to stick on it this long. It wasn't that big of a note. There appears to be. Oh yeah, that the outline color. I think that the outline color could be bigger, at least for tabletop simulator. I like can't see the color at all when I'm zoomed out. So if you want to have a color, then make that color thicker, or don't have the color. Like I didn't ever feel like I needed to care about the color, but I also just like didn't really see the color because with how zoomed out I was. So yeah, just something to think about. I don't know if it's a TTS thing or not.
I was working on that earlier today, and the scripting makes importing cards slow and difficult, so I chose not to throw it in.
Okay. So
yes.
Did you just make them thicker, or?
Yep, just making it thicker.
Got it. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. The free symbol, I think that you could just like not have something here, or the reminder that you discard a card at the end of the round. For some reason, that doesn't make it seem like this symbol makes me think that I have to do something with water. Like I don't know. I get that this is paying water. I just think if it is free, then it should just like not have water there rather than that. But that was just my first thought when seeing it. When I saw the symbol, I thought this meant something special, not it's free.
Your question initially about what does this mean is a common one. I realized now.
Yeah, like having just like nothing there, or at least like reminder that this is getting trashed at the end of the round or something. I think could be useful. I think this symbol is not helpful, and it's potentially confusing. This card itself is sort of confusing. The cards. I think there's a better way of saying you need to discard this card to use it, than having like a little picture of the card that you're discarding. Yeah, I get that it's consistent. Like when you have discard colon and a thing, discard colon and then an icon. I think just having like a card shape with an X through it or something would be fine. And I also get like how someone could think that, oh, maybe I could discard one of my other cards, but at the same time, like this symbol, that symbol is just the hack thruster's card, right?
Yep. That's right.
Okay, interesting.
You could discard a different
it is a little
hack thruster card.
Yeah, I was thinking that, but like you could also turn it that way, but I don't think that there would be any reason you'd want to do that. But yeah, I just thought it was a little bit funny and just maybe confuses the icon a little bit because you're adding more icons that people looking from a distance are like, oh, what does that icon mean? And I think just having a symbol that's like this card might be better. Supply slots should show ice or water. Just in the, I was asking the question if ice could be here in the initial teach. Obviously, once we're playing the game, it's obvious that ice can be here, but the fact that there's water here might not make people think that, oh, ice can be here. Obviously, this is the only place that ice is really going to be, so it's not that big of a deal, but now that I've played the game and have realized that ice isn't going to be anywhere other than in our supplies, it might not matter, because there's no way that you're like gaining ice, right? You're not like gaining ice from some.
and I think everyone would know that the circular token has to go in the circle.
Yeah. I think that is reasonable. It's again, this is probably not a big deal. Now that I've played the game, I know that ice isn't something that comes from anywhere. Like I'm only turning water that's already in my supply into ice. I'm not like gaining ice from other players or stuff, right? Ice can't be stolen. Is that right?
Right. Correct.
So it might not be an issue because you're just locking down one of your waters, and just the flavor wise is it's ice. It's probably fine. I'm just reading through my notes. um, with the nuke, I assumed I knew the answer to this, but the nuke gets rid of 5 waters if I'm not next to the person, and for some reason I wanted to nuke a spot. I can't nuke 2 things that are adjacent to me. I can only nuke a single hex, correct?
That's right.
Okay. That is just I could have asked that during the game. It's not a problem.
I have toyed around with the idea of an area effect weapon, like
Yeah, like affecting a couple things in an area.
yeah,
I mean
for the expansion someday.
yeah. Stolen cards. Oh, just having some sort of easy reminder for players, either when you get a stolen card, you like put it in the center of your board or something like that. Just or like you don't when you steal a card, it doesn't go into to your slots until the end of your turn, or however you like explain it so that it's easy for players to remember that I cannot use a stolen card this turn. If I was like being super AP and I kept going back and forth on what I was doing on my turn, but my first action was stealing a card. I could see forgetting that, oh, I had stole this card this turn, I cannot use it. So just having like a explanation of what you should do when you steal a card, so it's easy to remember that you cannot use it that turn, might be nice. Yeah, I just said card could be tapped or placed in the center of your board, or not placed on your board until the end of your turn, or something like that. Just when you're explaining how stealing works, that could help.
Thanks for the ideas. I was actually struggling a little bit. That tapped is
Yeah, so you're not using tapped anywhere else, like yeah. Just a sort of observation thing. Positioning seemed very, very important. I definitely missed when we were first learning that you cannot sit on top of a place with water, and so it when I pivoted from being like attacking you, I saw I couldn't really get over to Evan easily, so I sort of backed off a little bit. I sort of realized that I could just transition into collecting water and just trying to stay as far away from you guys as possible. And it would be like hard for you guys to get to me without like spending either several turns or like a good like most of your turn getting to me. And that was something that I failed to recognize at the very beginning of the game, and then became like that is like one of the most important things in this game is figuring out the positioning, and then figuring out like if you want to open up places, because then that makes moving around easier, and do you want people to be able to move around easier or no.
At some time in the future, I'd like different map configurations that change how easy it is to reach other people. This ideally keeps everyone spaced far enough apart that they can develop their weapons cache enough to then jump on each other later.
Yeah. It would be interesting if there would be like water like sort of pooled up on edges, and so that the center is a little bit more free, so you can like zoom over to other people easier. I'd be interested in that. That was pretty much what I wrote down. I definitely, when I get into a game and sort of in the zone with a game, I sort of stop writing notes. So that's definitely a good sign that I was like having a good time, and like the game sort of sucked me in a little bit. I am always worried about games in this vein, when one player can sort of get beat up on a bit, that you can always just reset thing sounds pretty brutal. Like I get that that's useful. There's going to be times where that's going to be useful. That sounds like uh, that player is going to have a really bad time if that ever happens. Like they're having a really bad time if that happens. And so that didn't happen in our game, but I do sort of worry about games of this being like a little bit too crushing for one player or something.
So let
But
me offer a quick
yeah.
perspective. Um, I always have worried about that exact thing too, and have very carefully balanced this. And
Mhm,
so what's come out of the 133 playtests, very fortunately, is the way this game balances. Everyone should be prioritizing whoever's really in the lead. If
mhm,
you're hitting someone that's not in the lead, you're wasting actions that, and the other person's going to run away with the win,
mhm.
which you kind of did actually.
Yeah.
We hit you too late. It's my own critique of my own tactics. But the other reason this rule exists is actually because of father-son combinations playing this game who
Mhm,
don't care who's in the lead, and they love to beat up on each other. I've seen
mhm.
several different father-son combos just like absolutely go at each other and ignore everyone else for no reason other than their personal relationship and problems. Settling something I don't even know about.
Yeah, which
And the reset rule allows them to be not be a glass cannon, and
mhm,
to actually
interesting.
take hits, even if they want to go all out against each other. And the other
Mhm,
players at the table, hopefully, there's enough players at the table that they're either going to end the game by winning, or the other ones are going to be fighting on their own anyway.
mhm. Yeah, I guess in the same sort of vein, I would be really curious what the higher player count feels like, because in one on one side of the coin, it's going to be harder to like be away from everyone if when there's more players.
Yeah.
On the other side of the coin, it's going to be really hard for you to interact with a specific person potentially because you have to like go through other players, and if you're going through other players, those other players are probably going to take advantage of you being near them.
It's
And
a
so
strategic
yeah,
party game at a 6-player player count.
yeah.
It's a what? Would you say it's a what kind of game?
Strategic party game.
Um,
It's not as light as any of those judgment games. It's very much a gateway game. That's what the market is aimed at
mhm,
centrally for this. And yeah, the other thing I wanted to note real quick about the reset rule is I've on 3 different occasions seen people who reset, and it doesn't happen very often. So out of maybe the 10 or 12 times I've ever seen resets,
mhm.
uh, 3 times the player that reset won.
Okay.
Interesting.
That later in the game, much later.
Yeah.
But
So, what are the win conditions for the other end game triggers?
condition is the same always. It's whoever has
Okay,
the most
most
water.
water.
When water
So,
on the map runs out,
mhm,
when this deck of cards runs out, we were down to
mhm,
13. Um,
got it.
and a 3-player game, we were more likely to have a launch than a 4-player game.
Yeah, makes
And
sense.
same is true of 5-player versus 6. In 5 and 6-player games, we run through this deck twice, and that's to give everyone enough turns to have agency in the game.
Interesting.
But ultimately, that means that 5-player games, there's more turns per player.
And 5-player games means there's more nukes.
And the same's true of 3-player games. There's more turns per player than 4-player games. And yes, you're absolutely right. 5 and 6 players, you're going to get double the number of nukes.
Which
And double
nukes
the number of
remove a
scrap.
lot of water from the equation. Like if we're not nuking, we're like maybe destroying 1 or 2 waters here or there.
The nukes are play balancers.
Yeah,
And
interesting.
when they come out in the deck, really changes how the strategy in the game varies.
Hmm.
Likewise, the deep drill and the raiding parties. The fact that we loaded up on raiding parties right at the beginning was a new one. This was a raiding party led game,
Mhm.
where sometimes we have a nuke led game.
Mhm. Yeah, it was interesting because I off the bat felt like, oh, I really want to just like hit someone hard. That's like what sounds fun to me. And then I quickly realized that I I can't, if I'm hitting you hard, I'm not going to be able to get over to Evan, and you're not going to be able to hit him. Um, and so that's why I backed off, and ultimately, like, not fighting in a 3-player game seems pretty good. Um, and
One of my
just
key design elements that I wanted to capture in this game comes from another game called Frontier Wars. That's
mhm,
much longer, but a great game. But it has an ebb and flow to it. So the player that gets out in the lead will inevitably, unless they're very careful and very good, get pulled back. And who's in the lead is going to vary throughout the game. It's never going to. No one player is just going to run away with it.
mhm,
The two of us could always pull the third player back.
mhm. Okay, sorry. Go ahead, Evan. I'm done with my feedback. I'm just
Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
Nope.
yeah, we're
shooting the shit.
Oh, okay. Okay. Um, let's see. First action drilling. I wrote that down because you're like you always just start drilling, and I was expecting that to be a big problem. I don't think it was a problem, But anytime you say that about a game, you're like, well, the first thing you do is always this. Then it's usually like, okay, we'll just skip ahead to what you don't need to. So that state didn't last very long, so it's like whatever. But it's a thing to think about. You could just skip to the part where it's a question as to what you do first.
Mm-hmm.
um, Equal number of turns. Remove. Oh yeah, this is the same thing about this. That symbol doesn't
Yep,
do what you want it to do.
great idea. And I've had that there forever, and I don't know why we never got to it not doing anything.
Yeah. I personally, I would do like an arrow that's like, put it over here. And I would just point to the trash can or something.
Mm-hmm.
But
Great.
um, let's see. Stealing feels bad. That's more a target audience question. Which,
Mm-hmm.
if you market it appropriately and write the right stuff on the box, you're not going to have an issue.
Right.
If you don't market appropriately and don't write the right stuff on the box, you're going to get a lot of flame reviews
Yep.
and scores on BG. Get a lot of 3s to 4s and 5s being like, it was very attacking and it didn't feel nice, and
Hate
I don't like
that.
games like this. But if you self-select those people out of playing your game by writing stuff in your marketing copy and on your box that says, "Hey, you're not going to like this," then it's not a problem.
That's an interesting strategy to market negatively.
Well, I mean, it's
No,
not
I
negative marketing.
absolutely
You're
see.
just saying, like in the tagline, something about attacking each other or destroying each other's hopes or whatever, like will make that player be like, ooh, I don't want to play this one. And then you're not going to get that negative review. You're not going to surprise somebody. And people's emotions get even worse when they're surprised by how much they dislike something. And they get
Absolutely.
even more passionate about how much they dislike it.
Hmm.
So if you set expectations, if you do a good job of setting expectations for what's in your box, people are more likely to enjoy it. The people that play it are way more likely to.
Right.
Uh, the button, you're killing me. It works
Classic.
for TTS though. It's nice. Um, Natural reactor. Oh, I want to look at. I'm gonna.
Yeah, it was a neat
Three.
little bit of geology.
Yeah, I like it.
I threw it in the story. I was like, this is too cool. Too many people
Yeah.
don't know about this.
No, that's all.
Very
I love stuff like that. That's really cool. Um, the 3-player version of your game. You know, so the age-old question of modern humans is: should a low player count board game experience feel the same as a high player count of this. Classically, you are going to have people saying yes, right? And they will ding you if your play experience is significantly different between different. Does that make it wrong or right? Of course not, right? Obviously, it's up to you to choose what your game feels like at different player counts. But right now, I suspect you do have a game that feels very different. Rightly
Strategy
or
matters.
wrongly, you will probably get hit for that. If you like it that way and you think that's cool, then screw it, do it anyway. But if you want it to feel the same at all the player counts, then then it's like, okay, what do I need to do to get there? And then of course, then you can start answering that question and make those iterations.
Managing
One,
expectations once again.
yes, right, and setting expectations. One quickie that I'm sure after this much time on it, you already have thought of all the different ways you might do that. But just one that popped into my head is at a 2 and 3 player game, all movement is just +1 or whatever, something like that. But you could do it in any number of different ways, like how you set up the water and how you the starting positions, yada yada. There's a bunch of different ways. But that was the one that came into my head. Yeah, the 3 player. I don't know how often. Gosh, I'm like back and forth. I don't know how often it ends up being that kind of like, oops, we went at each other for too long. Now this person's definitely going to win. Then there's, which any game of this length, which I don't know, teach was 17 minutes, playtime was 42 minutes. Right? If that felt fine to me to have oops, he's definitely going to win, and then we had to watch him win the next. That wasn't that bad.
I should have scrapyarded and drew the nuke and taken the time to jump over and slap him with it.
Well, yeah, right. We would have, could have, should have, but if your game ends up where there's just 2 turns where we need to watch him win, that's not that bad as far as like overall percentage of game where you're watching something you can't actually stop. Overall percentage, not that bad. No, that's actually good. But I suspect that that's less of a thing in higher player counts because there's more people to knock down somebody who has run away. And so that's another area where if you do want to avoid that feeling and or make it feel similar from player count to player count, then let's see, freezing water. Again, I think this is, my guess is freezing water is really good at a 6-player game and really bad at a 2 or 3. Just because of action economy and how many other players are going to be taking actions before your next action. So how much they could possibly be damaging your stores. I feel like what?
Just I wanted to say I can't remember how many times you were like, "Oh shoot, my water's frozen. I want to use my water that I have, but I can't."
Oh yeah, that's true.
Like there was like several turns where you had 4 frozen water and no unfrozen water, and you couldn't do what you wanted to do because you didn't have any unfrozen water. Like
true.
that also made me be like, okay, I don't want to freeze my water.
Yeah.
Like the number of times that
for low water games where we end up winning with maybe only 4 or 5 water.
Yeah.
No,
it doesn't work well for high water games, and we let each other get enough water to start out here that my tactic did not.
So sorry, no, I'll let you continue. I'll write down this thought real quick.
Okay. Well, I think I assume you have seen, the frequency of high water games versus low water games, and I assume that tracks to player count pretty well.
Nope.
No, 50, okay, interesting.
And all player counts, really.
Okay. So maybe I'm wrong about that.
I'm going to be careful to watch for that because if it does more numbers, then you're right. Because
if you
theoretically,
have,
that sounds right.
yeah, if you have a lot of water, then the action economy on freezing is just seems bad.
Hmm.
If you don't have much water, then maybe it's great. And it feels like that would be affected by player count, but yeah. Um, and then at least in this particular game, I would rather just take new water or steal your water than spend actions for water.
With all the
Although
raiding
maybe that's an
parties,
artifact of a
die,
bunch of
you can.
raiding parties. What's that?
I'm sorry.
I was
Go
gonna say
ahead.
maybe that's an artifact of having so many raiding parties in
It
our draw
really
pool.
is. So you're describing the player count affecting the how the game plays out, and the multitude of combinations of how these cards come out on the market and what we collect has far more
Hmm.
influence. Um, just trying to track to when the nukes come out alone influences how people are playing defensively and offensively, because those are the big play balancers. They shift the game,
Yeah.
and the force field is specifically here to counter that actually
Hmm.
too.
But
It's
you still need to be able to get to a person, which like unless you alter how movement works or starting locations work with water between, like is going to be different player count.
yeah, fundamentally, yeah,
Yeah. So
you'll
like you can't nuke me from across the board.
yeah. I
Um.
tried to actually call it a desiccator bomb because too many people associate nukes with ballistic missiles and want to make
Right.
them go a long way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no one knew what desiccator meant, and so I was like, okay, I need to aim at the seventh grade language level.
Yeah. I like it though. Desiccate. The dryer bomb. Okay. Tracking numbers of actions. I really liked Sasha's idea about the little duder that can be placed, on the shared little locks and track your actions because it wasn't hard to track three, but almost invariably every game where there are like three actions on your turn, almost invariably there's at least one or two turns where I'm like, oh crap, wait, did I? And I have to like backtrack. Like, wait, no, okay, yeah, okay, yeah. And so it would be nice to have little trackers
I'll put a double check mark by
in the
that.
form of little spacemen, or whatever,
Mhm.
little cuties. Um, I also agree about the discarding iconography. Unless you want people to think that discarding can happen a different way, like if you're like, oh, discard this card because there's gonna be something else that discards other cards, right?
Mm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Well, that
um,
yeah, universally it'll always be discard this card.
right. And so, since you don't have divergent rule systems on discarding, you can use a much simpler icon that's much more uniform. It's just like, this is the discard icon, and you're always discarding the card that says it.
Mm-hmm.
Like card with X is kind of the standard. But yeah, if you give me other stuff on there, I'm like, oh, discard this card. It just makes my brain. It increases the overall brain load of the game unnecessarily. Where you're like, oh, but I need to be looking out for discard abilities, different stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, let's see. Look that up. Yes. Red rain fall. The spelling there. Obviously, you're invoking the idea of red rain, RAIN, but you've used the spelling of rulership. Um, is that just because you're trying to win the game?
So on a, I didn't take the time to read through the player cards, but if you actually sat down and read all six player cards, they have a
Yeah.
little bit of story after their special ability. The Civil War occurs because the Queen's heir was seen as weak by the usurper, and they decided that, hey, we need to argue about this. They accidentally shattered the moon, and at which point the military no longer they're these rulers have clearly not served them. They're out of here. So they take over one of these airborne cities, and they're going to get out of here on their own.
Mhm.
No longer loyal to the queen or the usurper. The mercenaries are the slavers that used to serve them, uh, and bring them the slaves that served that were managed by the corporate cartel. And of course, the slaves themselves are the union of laborers
Mhm.
within each city. And each little story hints at that, maybe a little tangentially, but overall, that's why the reign is in there. Is the queen and the usurper's civil war is the cause of all of this. The original
Okay.
name of this was The Last Days of Mars a long time
Mhm.
ago, and feedback was that promised too much. That needed to be a legacy game, and all sorts of different connotations. And so I
Mm.
went for something that's more a little alliterative, a
Yeah.
little wordplay, and yeah.
Red Rain Rust. Yeah. It's I actually really like the name. When you see it, it does make me want fall to start with an R. But you might run into a tiny bit of an issue, like with people telling each other about it
Hmm.
and then trying to find it on Google.
Okay.
Just because, if you say, hey man, Red Rain Fall is a super cool game. Sweet, I'm
People are
gonna
going
look
to
it
want
up. I'm not seeing it. I can't find it. Red Rainfall? No, that's not what I'm looking for. Not that site. Um, you might run into an issue there, but I don't think that's a ginormous concern. Because typically when people are recommending games, it's either in person with the box in front of you, or it's online where things are spelled or with an image. I don't think it's a huge concern, but it is a small concern.
This is my new prototype box, by the way. I'm
It
in
looks
case you
good.
guys want to make boxes for yourselves for your prototypes.
Oh
Bring
yeah,
these, and you have a 3D. I've made these hinges that fit dollar store foam board,
that's awesome.
and it
Very cool.
clasps. And I don't have to spend $30 at the Game Crafter for one of their very nice boxes. But
Right. Looks
Very
good.
nice.
you can make a box of any size now
Yeah,
for
nice.
a couple bucks.
Okay, the last thing I've got is scrapyard card. So you have done a lot of, you know, playtesting and design work to create a game that has some really cool stuff going on and plays pretty snappy. And then you've got this card that doesn't do that. Um, if it's even in the card row at all, then it breaks down that snappy process. I have to go, okay, one of my possible actions this turn is to buy that scrap card. In order to do that, I'm going to have to either look through the deck, the discard pile, to see what I would get if I chose to take that card, or just remember what's in there, which I can't. So I would have to look. But a lot of players would remember what's in there.
Once you get more familiar with the game, certainly.
Yeah,
But yeah, first playthrough, definitely a challenge. I
yeah. So for me, that's kind of the one that sticks out like the sore thumb. That's like plays really snappy until you get to this card,
Hmm.
and then just the fact that it's in the buy row slows down your action, even if you don't end up buying it. And you know, obviously that's up to you how much of an issue you've actually seen that be or not be in your play tests. Because I'm the one that's played it once. You know, um,
It's an opportunity for analysis paralysis. I get it.
yeah. And then so the thing that came to mind, because I'm always like obviously my job's not to fix things that I'm talking about, but I always have something come to mind. And the thing that came to mind for me is that it just gives you the top card of the discard pile. And then if that's not good enough, it could also unflip one of your flipped cards, like let you relinkify, like take the top card and unflip a card or something like that. Anyway, really
I see some possibilities there. Yeah.
totally random. But aside from that stuff that we talked about, a lot of it was similar with what Sasha was saying about just certain little specifics. But overall, it's obvious that you've worked on this for a long time. It's really cool. It's really slick. I like the, the simple system. Take three actions. I personally don't mind a little bit of take that in a game, especially at a cool little space game that plays in 45 minutes, at least for three
Mhm.
players. Although it sounded like that gets a lot longer.
So 5 to 6 players, you run through the deck twice. So basically, uh, everyone's a little more familiar with their actions and what the cards do. Play turns actually go faster and faster as the game goes till the final round. That's when things get
Yeah,
more deterministic. The final round is always the slowest.
yeah,
Up until that point, things get faster and faster.
yeah.
So we end up going around 70 minutes with a 5 to 6 player game,
Okay, not
and
bad.
40. It depends on experienced players.
Yeah,
We had
sure.
a 30-minute game the other day,
Right. Yeah. No, I'm not. I'm
and
not. Yeah, I'm not worried about the people that are coming back 5 and 6 times. I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about
yeah.
that first play.
Um, so yeah, if I wanted to do what half the board games out there do with taking like the experienced player
Yeah.
time.
Right.
Oh yeah, no, it's a 30-minute play time. That's why I always have to
Right.
double the number when I do my first playthrough. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, guys, it says it's a 2-hour game. We're gonna sit down for 4 or 5
Yes.
here.
Right. Right. Um. Okay. Cool. Yeah. I would say expanding a 42-minute game into a 70-minute game with 6 players is not unreasonable. I think that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Um. And yeah, I mean, overall, I think it's awesome. I had a lot of fun. Just like Sasha said, he stopped writing stuff down because he was trying to win.
I had
Um,
a lot of fun playing with you guys.
so I think it shows that you've put a ton of time and work into this, and I think it's awesome. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Uh,
If it was easy, I would show you the spreadsheet where all the links are.
Right?
I've worked out exactly what links can match up with
Oh
other
yeah.
links because there's limits.
Oh yeah.
Like
Of
the
course.
nuke and the rocket thruster do have the possibility to link up.
Yeah, I
um,
like I like the little link system. That it's a one-off deal, and I don't know. It's engaging and fun, but simple enough to teach easily.
Hmm.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead, Sasha.
just whenever I hear other people's feedback, it makes me think of other
Yeah.
things that I didn't write down. So
Yeah.
I just wrote down a couple of things while Evan was giving his feedback. Um, uh, I would be really interested. I don't know how much you've tested it around with this, with lower player count having less water on the starting board, like having one less in each pile.
Mhm.
Um, that I feel like for me would solve my sort of worries about not being able to get across the board as quickly because the spots would be emptying faster.
Yeah.
And again, like you've done a lot of playtests, I don't know how often a three-player game the water runs out on the board. It seems like that'd be pretty hard to do, just from my perspective. Uh, but if there was less water on the board, obviously that would be more likely of a thing that could happen. So yeah, that was just. I'm curious. Have you had less water on the board for lower play counts as like a test?
Yeah, we've tried a few different changes, fewer cards in the tech market too,
Mm-hmm.
in the tech market pile. Sorry, the draw pile.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically in the solo mode, especially,
Hmm.
and that just led to less player um, uh, agency in the game. So you need, in order to get that ebb and flow of the power structure in the game, you need the length that that draw pile currently provides. You could go longer, but you can't go much shorter.
Yeah, I think the draw pile seemed fine to me. Like I could see how the game could drag out for like two more rounds, and then we'd be like on the edge of, oh, is the game going to end from the cards running out?
Mhm.
But yeah, it's more the water on the board.
And you're very astute on the water on the board has been balanced to coincide with that running out too. So usually we hit both. We'd hit either one of the water running out on the board or the draw pile running out within one round of each other or two.
Hmm.
Um, and that's at any player count. That didn't the number of players didn't matter to that.
Gosh,
Um,
my brain can't math that. Not affecting it.
no,
Yeah.
I couldn't math it. It was trial and error.
Yeah, interesting.
Work back and forth. Um, we ran into we tried to do 2-player games, like just 2 players, and there was the simplicity of the strategy, but what you've noted is you can't get around the board fast enough. If someone gets like 2 deep drills and just claws at the water and jumps in, they'll actually get enough water before you can get all around, unless you have the nuke to take enough of it away.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
yeah, we've encountered
Or
something like that.
yeah, or you start closer or give more movement or whatever.
This water level is the specific balance between, it works at all player counts well enough.
Yeah.
Yes, we could do less water for smaller numbers of players, and we'd hit that water thing just a little bit more, but we still do hit it from time to time. Launching is the least common ending, so this was actually the least common ending. And it's my favorite narrative too.
I feel like that is because it's hard to get around the board. If you guys were able to get over to me easier, then like I wouldn't have launched like that. Which if I was specifically not taking water from places so that you guys couldn't go on the places that were near me.
Yeah.
But like if I wanted to collect water and there was less water on the board, I wouldn't be able to like hide behind all this water.
Yeah.
Which
So
I
this was
think,
just
yeah.
unifying the setup. That's the only reason this is the same
Mhm.
water count as the other ones. Is I'm doing just cutting down on the size of the rule book.
Mm-hmm.
We could cut down the water. You're absolutely right. It would
Yeah.
be just a little more calibrated.
I would be interested to play it, and it was sort of going back to what Evan was saying with if you want different player counts to play similarly. I think that if I'm playing with 3 players, I'm gonna very often be trying to get the other 2 players to be fighting and then be on the opposite side of the board from them and then just like eat as much water as I can. And I would be curious playing it more if that is like
Right.
something that I'm gonna find I'm gonna do every single time or not.
Right. Or if we realize, oops, we shouldn't be fighting each other, and then a little earlier come over and get you. Like, yeah, does it turn into like, oh, well, that's just how you play the 3-player game, or were we just being not good at it?
I think
I don't
you're
know.
first of all excellent players at this, and have definitely really drilled down the strategy pretty well for your first run through. All of this then changes the next time as you both realize the exact same strategy implications, and
yeah, and
we're very different players for me to play against than a lot of other players I've played with.
Yeah, and so I I'd be interested in playing this game with less water on the board. Just from playing it, that's something that I sort of crave a little bit for getting a different experience. And so yeah, I guess just that as a note as well. More than just wanting to make the design better, it's something that I feel like I would enjoy playing. So just yeah.
I would love to see the 3-way intersection of like rivers.
Yeah, that could be cool too. So you just like hop over rivers easy. Yeah, I think there are lots of things that you can do with how the water is set up, but just having less water, I think I want to see how that would play out just for myself. Icons. This I'm sure there's just a TTS thing, but the looking at the backs and fronts of each of these boards, that union of laborers, one side the water symbols are they're less faded. Not a big deal, but just a TTS thing.
That's probably
and then
sure enough, it's an old board is the problem.
Oh, got it. Like different wording or something, or what makes it an old board?
No, it's just I did a quick update today and to fade those out,
Mhm.
a little bit more.
Got
And
it.
as we discussed earlier, maybe I can just get rid of the water symbols entirely, and it's just white circles.
Yeah, I think I don't think I don't think it's awful the way that it is. I think it's totally fine the way that it is after playing it, like because you're not adding ice onto your board, and you're not gonna have an ice that you're adding to your board, and like, oh, where does this go? Because that just won't happen because ice is made on your board. So it's probably not an issue, but yeah. Um, uh, the other little things I wrote, I was curious, how often does the scrap card get used for cards other than nuke and spy? Um, just because it is a sort of, as we were talking about action economy, it is sort of like you're spending an extra action um, to like.
It depends on when those come out in the market and
Mhm,
what's already passed through the market, of course.
mhm,
So rocket thruster is a nice one. Deep drill is a really common one to grab.
got
Um,
it.
deep
Mhm.
drills. So deep drill and raiding party are both two water action economy,
Yeah.
and
Mhm,
they're the heaviest cards in the game besides the nuke.
mhm,
For brute force, I'm going to try and win this one way.
mhm.
So they're
Yeah,
definitely like the 3 dot cards are what people go for most.
that always would make sense. Like that's you'd essentially always you wouldn't want to buy a broadside cannon with a scrap card.
Unless
Yeah.
that was you had a special ability that particularly suited that.
Yeah, like maybe the military having +1 range with broadside cannon.
There's +1 range, there's +1 water um, with one of them where it
The
so
usurper.
even if you steal a tech card, you can also destroy a water. I'm sorry, even
Oh.
if you destroy a tech card, you also destroy a water.
Oh yeah.
Interesting.
I'll take another broadside cannon.
That's why people
Destroy
who
you.
like the
I
broadside
drink
cannon.
your milkshake.
Yeah. Okay. And then the last thing I wrote down, the backside of the mercenary guild where spies are free, uh, seems like it doesn't do anything 90 like very very often because not only are other players really wanting the spy cards, but there are only 3 spy cards in the entire deck. So like how often that spy card will show up on your turn is already not very high, and so anytime that's not happening or there's not a spy card in the market, you just have no ability. Um, So I would just I'm curious how often players would choose that side because to me it seems pretty bad compared to this side, which I could, I
And
didn't
for
use
that,
it a ton, but
I have exactly 2 play tests worth of data.
okay,
They
got it.
just changed that card. That card had a really lame ability before. It was, I think it just made the spies cheaper in the market. Is all it was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was worse. So
Okay. Yeah, I
this
mean,
was an improvement, even if it feels bad now. I think a lot of these cards, each player I've encountered, I don't ever like the one-time get a tech card.
Mhm.
I like the persistent ability
Mhm.
consistently, but there are
yeah,
players that like those get the card to
that
start with.
one-time card.
They
Yeah.
jump around the board. God knows the AI does terrible damage with the rocket thruster. Starting off with the rocket thruster,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, it's a real
I
nuisance.
like the one time personally, so I'm glad that was an option because then my brain can't handle too many things to track at once. So if I can just cross off having to check what my bonus is every round, great.
Mhm.
I'll just take a card to start with.
And I never used my bonus. I kept forgetting about it. Dang it.
Right.
I
It,
also was bad about my links too.
it is funny that the Mercenary Guild is the only one that doesn't have the option to start with a card.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Um, like I would just expect this to be I start with a spice card, just because all of the other factions have one side where you just start with a card and the other side that's a persistent ability.
The
But
usurper starts with the spy card, which is why the mercenaries don't.
oh,
Mm.
got it. Okay, okay,
Because there's a little thing in the flavor text that hints that they might use spies in the court.
Mm.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
The mercenaries would be the next one to supply the spies. They're the spy supplier to. If I had a different card to suggest, but I don't want to give anyone drill rigs to start with. Because that
deep drill rig.
that's unbalanced. And the game is all measured in it can all be measured in actions, really. So while one card might be better than the other, objectively, I think we actually can equate everything to this is worth this many actions, and this is worth this many actions. A lot of our decisions are actually divided based on, okay, this actually took to the scrapyard. It takes 3 actions to get a scrapyard, and then
use it, and then get a card, and
Plus, if you needed to move with that, you've just used up everything. So, anyway, I digress. Yeah, if you had another suggestion, maybe give them the missile barrage to start with or something.
Yeah, just something. Just since all the other ones has the option of getting a card or persistent ability, and the fact that to me the seeing that there was only 3 spy cards in the deck, and like. It just doesn't seem like a good choice. But yeah.
Especially if you're playing with the usurpers and moved one from the deck. That's even worse.
Yeah, I know. It would feel really bad.
And then people would actually want to, AP people would really want to pay attention to, what turn order do we get to select which ability do we get then?
Exactly.
And so far, I've had no one actually try and do that level of analysis. But
well, if I knew the interactions, I would be that person.
Yeah.
After
those subtle advantages they add up.
Yeah, so eliminating whether that even matters to that faction's ability would be best.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
That's all of the notes part 2 that I wrote down. So
we just keep going back and forth and generate.
Exactly.
Ooh, that made me think of.
I can talk about this.
Honestly, that's how this often goes. I feel like.
Yeah. Now, did you have anything, specifically that you've been struggling with lately, or thinking about changing, or any feedback specifically that you're looking for?
Nope, you guys did everything I really need. I do have struggles with this game. I do know its actual behind the scenes weaknesses. King making is always a concern, and ultimately, I got into a lot of okay, philosophically, what is king making and when does it matter? It's not that not all king making is bad. In fact, part of this game is very much maybe someone decides that you're not going to win because you hurt them first, and ultimately sometimes that's going to happen. And but as long as real king making that shouldn't be happening is a couple comes to the game and neither one of them the one guy always helps his wife win. That's how he's making his decisions. That's bad king making. That's what we don't want. But that's very player dependent, and that's a bad player, not a bad game. And there's a lot that can go into that analysis. I could go on for a while, but
you say that in the rules too. It's like if this is a problem, it's because you're a bad player. The game is good, actually.
I would love to try and expand how my solo mode works. I'm struggling with. I'm still developing that more rather than struggling with it. I'm not a solo player, so that's the struggle there. Is motivating myself to actually play my own game in a way that I don't want to play.
Yeah.
Personally, but it needs to be done, and I think with the automated opponents, I could explain them in 30 seconds to you. Cool. They follow a routine. They buy, drill, attack, and move. They cycle through their cards, and they use the highest tiered card they can for that decision step. So whatever they have, and they start off just like you. They don't make use of special cards, and they don't make use of links. And their drill rig is invulnerable. I learned that they get real dumb real quick if you blow off their drill rig because they're very spendy. They buy the first thing they can on the market that they don't have two of. That's their buy action. Then they try and hit the opponent that has the most water. They drill towards the opponent that has the most water, try to hit the opponent that has the most water, and move towards the opponent that has the most water. And then they cycle back through until they've used up their 3 actions. You now know the automated opponents.
My little question for the automated opponent is: so the player decides when it's a tied situation, I assume.
There's a number of tiebreakers.
Yeah.
So who has the most tech? If say you're tied for water, who has the most tech cards? Then if you're tied for the most tech cards as well, whoever is closest to last player. This game has a slight last player advantage, and that's the balance against it. In the end, if you both had the same amount of water, the same amount of tech cards, the tie would go to first player, or whoever's closest to first player. And that's first player starts out and is effectively an action ahead of last player the whole game. But last player gets to make the last decision in the game. They have the highest potential of king making, things like that. They have the most agency in the most deterministic manner at the end. Their last turn doesn't depend on anyone else's decision. And that's it.
I guess one other tiebreaker question that I have is, so let's say green is the bot and gray is in first or whatever. If green is drilling, where does it drill?
That is decided by the player that is objectively in last place.
Got it.
Then it does come down to another player decision.
Got it.
Or random. And
yeah, because there could be like strategic reasons why you'd want to empty out one spot or something. So yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, what do I know?
We could write a 3-page rule book, or we could write a 1-page.
Exactly.
Yeah, I haven't even looked at it, but I would endeavor to homogenize your tiebreakers. Either left to right, starting.
Most tech cards is always the tiebreaker.
What's that?
Most tech cards is always the tiebreaker.
Could be, unless that can be tied. Then I would pick something else.
Closest to first player.
That would be a better one.
Closest to the North Pole.
Yeah, exactly. You can have a front of the board, and it just that's where it starts, and then it goes clockwise from there to the closest thing. Whatever. Just something that's anytime there's a tiebreaker, it's one rule. Whatever that rule ends up needing to be to make it work right.
Yeah, not cascading rule ties.
If I can do it, I will.
Yeah. Exactly. Doesn't always work.
Selecting first player went through kind of a similar iteration. It originally was whoever drank water most recently, but that turned into a chugging contest. It's like everyone had a cup of water.
Yeah, right.
That sounds great. Healthy.
I like it, right? You're promoting.
I'm putting a dice on the board.
Promoting proper hydration.
It's a healthy
yeah, king making was something I brought up. But yeah, again, I think just if at a game experience on the less than hour side, just don't think it's that big a deal. I really don't.
Yeah, that's the charm of getting to design a game that's under an hour. Sometimes you can just say, "Well, hey."
I don't think it's that big a deal. Obviously, there are things you can do about it, but at the end of the day, if things are too easy to to even out, right? If there is nobody that's going to win, then then every game goes until you run out of the deck, which I don't know if that's ideal either.
Runs out of the deck or runs out of the water that need to happen right around the same time, then, so that players feel there's an equal chance. Right. If players go heavy on drilling, the water runs out. If players buy tons of things from the market, if everyone's cycling the market a lot, then the market runs out.
Yeah. Not everything has to be evenly balanced when there are multiple win conditions. But I guess really that's not exactly true. There aren't multiple win conditions. There are just multiple ending conditions.
You got it.
I would. Well, no, too late in the process to add multiple wins. But I think that would be a good potential fix for the king making aspect. Would well, what if there's a different win? Kind of like Seven Wonders or something like that,
Mhm.
where like, oh man, he's got so many more points than me. If the game ends that way, he's gonna win. But if I can
Pull the
outscience
rug
him,
out.
right? If I can outscience him, you know. So if you're really falling far behind on a single win condition game, then you can lead to that kind of feeling of, well, there's nothing I can do. I can king make. But if there's multiple opportunities for different ways to win, then the likelihood that you are at the bottom of all of them is much lower. But yeah, it,
Well,
yeah,
that reminds me of another struggle. I want publishers to understand with that. I don't want publishers to prejudge the game that has a single resource as being a simple game. I wanted a single. I thought it was very clever. I tried other resources for very early on in the process, and then it was like, wait, I could just do one, one for everything. But how
why
do I get that?
why do you think this isn't a simple game?
It falls in the medium category.
Yeah,
But I don't want them to say, oh, it's a boring game. You're just going and mining water. You just mine the most water and you're done. It's not a race to mine the most water. It's a negotiation,
right,
a desperate one, and
right.
it's a
I
war
don't.
game.
I
Strategy.
have you talked to publishers that have pointed out the only one resource thing?
Uh, when I submitted to not publishers per se. It was not Cardboard Edison. It's the one before that, the Ion Award contest last year. The
SaltCon, right?
feedback. I'm sorry.
That's SaltCon.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah.
Some of the feedback, granted, they really did not read. It was apparent they hadn't read their whole rules, but they prejudged very quickly that, oh, it has one resource. It's boring. This isn't gonna. It's a race to get the most water, and that seems like it's not gonna
I don't
be.
think to
They
me
couldn't
that
play it. They
that's
just read the rules.
yeah, to me that's not a problem at all. To me that's design sleekness. Like my big thing, even with huge games, when I'm playing a game, if there are resources that exist that don't need to exist, like that's a thing that bothers me.
Mm.
So I appreciate when it's like, oh no, all we really need is water. That's all you really need.
And if thematically it works great.
Yeah.
I mean, your cards are also very much a resource.
Well, that's true.
Uh, and that's the thing that, I mean, there's definitely periods of time where became very apparent. Like once you get hit like hard
Yeah.
and you have like two cards left, then you're
Yeah.
like, oh, I have to spend at least a turn getting cards again before I can even think about getting water. Um, yeah, so
Yeah.
it is clever in that the only resource that is like very obvious this is a resource is water, but there's more nuance to that. It's not just like
Right.
all you need is water, all that matters is water. Like the cards are very much a resource, and
Yeah.
probably almost a more important resource
Yeah.
Than the water.
Totally.
That's an
Yeah. And
interesting
so
way to
I
think
don't
about
think
the
I don't think.
resource.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's a great. I hadn't really thought of them as a resource. There's 15 different resources. It's just they're called cards.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You're blinded by they're all a tech card, but
Mhm.
Yeah. I wouldn't take that feedback from Ion. Frankly, I wouldn't worry about it. To me, it speaks to good design. To have to get rid of unnecessary resources. But of course, you can look at any number of top tier games that go exactly against what I say, and it shows like what the heck do I know? But in my opinion, I really prefer to keep resources at the exact number that needs to be there rather than more than that. So I think that's a good quality about your game. And publishers are going to prejudge your game for any number of reasons, right? So just make your best game. And some people are gonna scan the rule book and something's gonna pop in their head, rightly or wrongly, and they'll make a decision based on that.
Yeah.
Is it the one resource thing? Is it something else? It doesn't really matter. Just make your best game.
I think there's things I can still improve here, streamline, and get a little more publisher ready. But that's my job for the next year. Is I'm going to pitch to as many publishers as I can, and hopefully find one that loves this game as much as I do.
Cool, man. Yeah,
It's my
it's
favorite
obvious.
game to watch. I've never gotten bored watching people play it.
Yeah, good. Cool, man. What else? Anything else? Did we answer the questions that you said?
I think so.
I don't remember now. Okay, good.
Thank you guys so much for your time tonight. I really appreciate it. I had a lot of fun. And
Well, thanks for
really love that
sharing.
you're doing this with your channel. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Of course, it was a pleasure to check it out, and I'm excited to see you get out there and try to get this published. I also am one of those people that I do not want to publish my own game. Sounds like a lot of work I don't want to do.
I have my own job.
Yeah,
So I hear you
exactly.
guys have a playtest is next week with TK and Galactic Cruise.
Is that next week?
Little shout out to my fellow playtesting designer. We trade
Yeah.
games all the time, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys play with him too.
I don't.
And Matt Rodella with Twisted Trumpets. I
Oh
think
yeah,
also.
yeah. I don't know if we're playing. I don't think we're playing that next week. In 2 weeks, we're playing on Mars.
Oh, okay.
Because
Nice.
he's like, you gotta play a Lacerda, man. You gotta check it out.
Oh, you haven't
Because
played on Mars?
I have not played on Mars.
Mm.
Because
Oh, they're so thrilled. They have the artist from On Mars looking at doing their art for their game.
oh, nice,
Yeah,
awesome. Yeah, that'd be pretty darn sweet, huh?
that's a pretty big win for them, I think.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they're gonna have some
Um,
great.
but yeah, man, pleasure to have you on. Obviously, I will. Well, I'll chat you that after we go offline. But it was great having you. Had a lot of fun. Really excited to see you get this out in the world.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate you giving me the exposure and the time tonight.
Cool.
And,
Hey, any last minute like plugs for yourself?
um,
Go to the website.
oh, visit Red Rainfall's Facebook page, and that's where I keep my regular updates for the game. You can see screenshots from tonight's playtest, and I, of course, will repost this video there too. That's where I'm most active at this time. If you want to playtest with me, join the Discord channel. You'll find the links in the Facebook page.
Sweet. Sasha, last minute plug.
Self-Caught is my main game that I'm working on right now. I do have a Facebook page for it. You can check it out there. But I'm on here a lot. I like doing this show, so
I
I'll
know.
be back.
I appreciate you always coming on, man. That's great.
Oh, I love it.
And I'm Evan Halbert. I have so many games that need publishers. Publishers, publish my games. That's my plug. Cool. Awesome, everybody. Don't go away, but we are going to log off here. And thanks, everybody. Ooh, did you check the chat?
I did at some point. Edward King said good evening. And
Nice.
I'm not sure when that was, but that it was the only chat that we had.
Oh, sorry, TK. We didn't respond in time.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Good night, everybody. Thanks for watching. And I hope you saw something useful for your own designs. And
Have a great
we
night.
are